Welcome to English Without Limits. In our last few lessons, we have been talking about words we call modals. These words are used to make polite requests, but we also use them to do other things. Today we're going to learn how to use modals to talk about something and express how likely it is to happen. Sometimes we want to say that something will definitely happen. This is for sure, 100% certain. Sometimes we're talking about something and we're not so sure it's going to happen or not. And so we use different modals to express the idea of possibility. I hope you enjoy the lesson. In our last lesson, we learned about positive and negative politeness formulas. We learned that there are not just positive ways to say something politely, but that we also will add what we call negative politeness formulas, and that these make something a little more proper, a little more polite. Let's join the class as they begin to review negative and positive politeness formulas.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. How are you today? Good. Do you remember what we were talking about in our last lesson? We're talking about modals of politeness and negative and positive formulas. Like last lesson I asked, remember, may I borrow your pen? So may I borrow your pen, Zahar? And you say, yes, you may. Yes, you may. And I'll say thank you. And I'll give it back to you. Yeah. What if I accidentally bumped into one of you? What should I say? I can say, I'm sorry, or excuse me.
As you heard from the teacher, we have both positive and negative ways of being polite. Now, the positive ones use the modals that we talked about. Would you, could you, may I, can I. But the negative ones, they use phrases like, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to trouble you, I don't mean to bother you. These are the ways that we show that we are respecting the other person. When we ask someone for something, they must listen to us, they must do what we ask, and so our negative politeness formulas, these are the ways of saying, we don't want to bother you, we don't mean to be a problem to you, and that shows respect to the other person. Now, you remember from our last lesson that we will combine them. We will use a negative one first, and then say the word but, and then we will use the positive one. So we will say, excuse me, but would you help me? Or we'll say, I'm sorry to bother you, but could you do this for me? Sometimes when we talk about something, we want to express the idea that this will definitely happen. This is certain. This is for sure, 100%. Sometimes we talk about something and we say it is almost 100%. It's close to being certain, almost definite. Sometimes we're talking about something and we're not sure whether it's going to happen or not. Maybe yes, maybe no, 50-50. And so we use different modals to express these ideas. Some of our modals say something will definitely happen, some say it's almost definite, and some say we don't know if this will happen or not. Let's join the class as they begin to learn about modals of possibility.
Today we're going to learn about models of possibility. Like for what we learned the last few days, we had a modal came first, and then we had the verb, actually subjects, and then we had the subject, and then the verb. So can you come? Now this time it's going to change the sentence shape because we're learning about different modals. So the sentence goes subject, and then the modal, and the verb. So first we have I may go swimming. So what's the verb in the sentence? Swimming, right. And the subject? I. And then the modal would be may. Okay. So the modals we are focusing on this lesson are may. Let's say that one together. May. Okay. Might. Good job. Should. Ought to. Yes. Will. Great. Can. Yeah. Could. Yeah. And shall. Yeah. So the may gives us formal permission. Like, may I borrow your pen? That gives us permission. It gives us about 50% certainty here. So I'm going to write it in here. May. And then might. Like, where is John? I might ask you. What would you say if I ask you, where is John? He might be at the library, we could say. So that also goes under here. Yeah. He might. And then should. Okay, how can we use should in a sentence?
Should they go somewhere?
Yeah, we should go somewhere. Or I could say, this should stay here. So that one goes also under over here. You could also say, it should be a nice day tomorrow, we could also say. And we have ought to. It advises something. So something you should do. How could we use ought to?
You ought to do something?
Yeah, so you ought to maybe do your homework tonight. Maybe. Yeah, 90%, right. Ought to, okay. And then we have will. So will meaning certainty, willingness. Like he.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Very good. So how could we use will in a sentence?
You will go to school.
We will go to school, right? Or I will get it. Yeah, so will. And then we have to be going to. Something you are going to do for sure.
I'm going to go jogging.
Yeah, very good. So I will be
You're going to
to. Where would it be?
20, right? Or 50.
It's at 100% because you're going to do it for sure. Yeah. So it'd be-
But you're going to maybe.
yeah, you will be going. So you're something. Yeah. So I'm going to go to the store tomorrow. So you're, yeah. Going to. And we have can. So can is like possibility, something you might be doing. So how could we use can?
You can do something. You can do something.
Pardon? 90%? Pretty close. It's actually 50% because you're not sure yet. So we can use that as a question. Can you take off your shoe, maybe? So we're going to put that over here. And we have could. It's also pretty much the same as can. So I can say, how can I use this in a sentence? Yeah, could you give me your book? Yeah, and I could also say, please. Could you please give me your book? Where does that go? 50. Good job. So could. And shall. Something you're going to do in the future, you would use this word for.
100%.
Pretty close. 100%, yeah. How can you use shall?
Shall buy bread.
Very good. So you shall buy bread, you could say. 90. You shall. Okay, so let's go over these over here. So let's use this one in a sentence. May. Pardon?
May I go out?
May you go out? Yeah, good job. What about might? How can I use might? You might, maybe, you might go to the park after class. You could say, what? Any other ideas how you can use might? Yeah, you could say Michael might be in the library. What about should? How can you use should? You should go to school. Yeah, that's very good. What about can? I can maybe run to school so you won't be late. You can run, yeah, you can say. What about could? Could you give me a book? Yeah. What about ought to? You ought to be home tomorrow? Yeah, that would work. Or you ought to go home. Yep. What about will? Will.
I will win a prize.
I will win a prize. Yeah. Any other one? What about I will eat ice cream when I go home. Or I will, what's another one? Go to school tomorrow? Is there school tomorrow? No? You could say that. What about be going to?
I'm going to buy a new bike.
A new bike, yeah. So he is going, we can also say he's going to be here at 6 p.m. Like maybe Tanya. Yeah, he's invited out. And he has to be there by 6 p.m. So he would say, he is going to be here by 6 p.m. So what about shall? How can we use shall?
Shall stay home and don't go to school.
I shall stay home and don't go to school? Or not go to school? Not go to school, yeah. So remember, these ones is for sure, something you're going to do for sure. This one, pretty much, you're pretty much certain. These ones you're about half and half, about 50% you would use them for.
You saw what the teacher was doing on the board. She had a list of the different modals in 3 columns. One column was the idea that this thing will definitely happen, 100%. Those are words like shall, or will, or be going to. And then there were some words that express the idea this is almost definite. It will probably happen. That's words like ought to, and some people put the word should in there as well. And then we had a third list, and these express the idea that maybe 50%. We're not sure whether this will happen or not. Words like can, may, or could, or might. So these words express the different idea of possibility. Now, some of our modals are more than one word. They're a phrase like ought to or be going to. But when you have a modal phrase like that, it may be 2 words or 3 words, but it acts as if it were 1 word. It acts like a single unit. We still treat it that way. Now, when you have the modal phrase be going to, we conjugate the verb to be in there as if it were a regular verb. We say, I am going to. You are going to. He, she, or it is going to do something. And so we conjugate that part of it. But with the other modals, we don't conjugate them. We don't change them for different people. When we put modals in, we always have a certain order we put them in. We always put the modal just before the verb. We say the modal, then the verb, because the modal helps to modify the verb. It changes it a little bit. It expresses how definite this thing is. So we would say, I may go, I could go, I will go, but we don't change the order. We don't say, I go may. We don't do that. Now, another thing that happens here is that we never combine 2 modals. We never put 2 modals together. We only put 1 modal before the verb. And when we do this, we don't conjugate the main verb. We don't change the main verb. It's always, I may go, you may go, or he, she, or it may go, but we don't conjugate the main verb. In that case, it's the verb go. We don't conjugate that. All right? These are a few of the rules about using modals of possibility. Let's join the class as they begin to have a little bit of fun with this.
So we're going to play a little game now. So we're going to be split up into 2 teams, okay? So you want to do, let's do boys against girls, okay? Let's try that. So one person from your team, well, let's say Dima, you're going to come up front. And Tanya, you're going to come up front, okay? And then Azar and Vika, you're going to stay there, you're going to help, okay? So I'm going to give you 100%, and 90%, and 50%, okay? And you're also going to get 100%, 90, and 50.